started now, it's happening. Can you all sense it? This is the thing. Basically, with it being nearly Christmas, I'm going to have to go home and talk to my family and explain why I haven't achieved anything in my life. I thought I would use this as practice for that, which will be extremely boring for you and me, but we all have to go through it. Just to give me a sort of run through it. Hold on, I have a thing here. Can you hear me? I don't need to use this, do I? No, you can just hear me. Yeah? I have a loud voice. And lots of opinions. All right. This thing is, I don't really have a title for it. If I did have a title, it would be probably something like Why I Haven't Finished Nelly Cootalot 2 Yet, brackets sorry. If you haven't played Nelly Cootalot Spoon Bigs Ahoy, don't worry, that is normal. The majority of people haven't played it or even heard of it, so that's fine. I will later on mention what it is. If you have played it, then good, you are better. Oh, but here is the main reason, to be honest, to answer that question, why I haven't finished Nelly Cootalot 2. The main reason I haven't finished it yet is that I'm an idiot. If you don't know what an idiot is, here is a picture of an idiot. That is an idiot in an ill-fitting hat. It wasn't my hat. I don't normally wear that hat, it was just for the picture. So that's Nelly Cootalot. In 2007 I made a game for Rachel, my girlfriend. Her nickname is Nelly Cootalot. About her as a pirate. I made it as a Christmas present for her, and I finished it in March 2007. Calendar fans among you will have spotted already that Christmas isn't in March, because it took about a year longer to make than I thought it would. That is just step one on the scale of idiocy. And at the moment, actually recently, it's just being translated into Spanish, and it's about to be translated into the translation into French is about to be completed, which I was just saying to mods, it's just me trying to do what I can to try and sort out the Europe-Britain rift that the Prime Minister's created. I'm just, I'm just trying to, I'm only one man. So what I was doing when I made that is I graduated from university making films, and I was making corporate videos and trying to make short films, and I was trying to make short films that were, art, trying to make real art, and then I had silly ideas for jokes about pirates, and ideas for derivative computer games, and so I made cheesy games and put that on the internet, but then I was concentrating on my art and short films that no one was watching, and I'm saying all this in the past tense, as if that isn't still the case. It is still exactly like that, nothing has changed. No progress. This is part of why my dad is disappointed. And so having made short films that no one would watch, I released this game online, and in terms of really unpopular freeware computer games, it was quite popular, and thousands of people downloaded it, and I thought, this is awful! I can't believe that a stupid game about pirates, for God's sake! A game about pirates is popular! Why does no one like what I'm... So that was my response to the, good reception of Nelly Cootalot Spoon Bigs Ahoy. It's just checking my notes here. Yeah, very angry about that. Nervous breakdown. Yeah, so I released it in 2007. In 2008, there was a global economic crisis. I want to be very clear that I'm not taking responsibility for that. I think Nelly Cootalot played a small role in that. I really don't think that was a big part of it. Just to summarise the economic crisis, for those of you who may not pay attention, it was something like that is basically it. I got some scientists to draw that up earlier. And at that time they were saying that the economic crisis was going to last about a year, and by about 2010 it would start to pick up again. So I decided, well, I was living in the north making videos, and I thought I'll go to the London Film School and I'll do an MA in film, and I'll sort of lay low as a student for a couple of years, and then the economy will have time to recover, and then after about 2 years it'll start to pick up again, and I'll sort of graduate on the crest of a wave and be projected into a world of success and probably cocaine or something. I don't know, maybe some futuristic drug that they'll have in 2010. Who knows, it could be something new. So that was what I was expecting to happen. Now, that, obviously, you know that didn't happen. Again, I don't think it was anything to do with me. But what I did do is, having been living in the north of England and working, having a flat with Rachel, I became a student and moved to London. And obviously that had an effect on my quality of life. I had a graph there to explain the change in my living standards in that time. And so I was working at the film school, making films, and that was really getting in the way of the idea that I had to make a sequel to Nelly Cootalot. And I tried to make a sequel as soon as I finished the first game, and then things had got in the way, all of the downward pointing arrows. And about a year ago, really, I decided to start taking it seriously and try and make an actual sequel. And so I came up with a plan. The first thing you'll learn is that writing the word plan in a large font is not the same thing as having a good plan. But I decided to come up with a plan, and the plan was to develop Nelly Cootalot 2 as a commercial game. The reason being, I realised that I couldn't make the game I wanted, I couldn't devote the time I wanted to devote to it without spending time on it that I ought to be spending looking for actual work. And I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll treat it like a part-time job while I'm a student, with the view at some point to making back a little bit of money that I've lost by not looking for work. So not trying to make a living out of this, not trying to make loads and loads of money and become extremely rich, but just trying to justify, really, the amount of time that I would have to dedicate to it. So in addition to that, I wanted to make it really, really big and full of amazing stuff, which is what that line says. I don't know if you can read these slides. So yeah, just really, I want it really, really good. I wanted to do it really good. And in order to achieve that, and following on from that, and then I'll get some money. So that was, this is my business. I don't know if you've seen business plans before, but they're quite complicated documents. That's my business. That was my. I say it again, talking in the past tense. That is my business plan. Nothing has improved since then. Now that was the boring bit. What I did next was after writing this business plan, I wrote the game. So I wrote a design document for the game based on Tim Schafer's design document for Grim Fandango. And look at all those colours. Oh, boxes and colours. Maps. It's got to be good, hasn't it? Imagine, 4 colours.
All the boxes just say make money.
They just have dollars, signs and pound signs. I wrote in a few euros, but I deleted those just to be on the safe side. I'm not a risk taker. And so I wrote the idea for a story. So the story for Nelly Cootalot 2 is that the evil Baron Whitebeard has hypnotised a fleet of wildfowl and is on his way to an island in the Seven Seas to capture the treasure of the Seventh Sea. Nelly Cootalot has to stop him because the treasure of the Seventh Sea is the treasure of William Bloodbeard and is protected by a flock of ninja ptarmigans. And if the foul fleet meets the flock of ninja ptarmigans, there will be just a feathery bloodbath, and Nelly has to get there and stop him getting there, and she has to recover the treasure and return it to its rightful owner before the evil Baron does that. So, as you can see, it's pretty out there art house plotting, really experimenting with narrative in many ways. So I wrote that, lots of bad puns therein, and I did character design. So I designed about 50 characters, so there's some drawings, and Bjorn and Olafsson are in the first game, and El Mono is there, as well as El Naranja, his enemy, and these are all characters who weren't in the first game, and so I did lots of drawings. And back in 2008, cast your minds back to 2008, naive times, we were young, my beard didn't join together as well at this point. It's still not quite there, but it's getting there. I released a tech demo to see if I could try and evolve the style of the game a little bit. There were lots of things that I wasn't really happy with in this tech demo. Move forward so I can see the screen a bit. The biggest thing, obviously, is sort of mismatch between the 2D backdrop and the 3D characters. I really think mixing styles like that is interesting, but I just don't think it's working there. I think, I was talking to Mark about this earlier, I think maybe 3D backdrops with 2D characters interacting with them, or even miniatures made of plasticine with 2D characters interacting, something like that. I think those kind of mismatches, like Mary Poppins animation, where two styles combine, are really interesting, but it just isn't working there. The backgrounds are washed out, the characters feel sort of stuck on. Nelly is dressed as a sailor instead of a pilot, and also she has really big head. That one was easily dealt with. I just made the head smaller. So between 2008 and now, I've continued working on the game, and I can, if I press enter now, you will see the progress that I have made in 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 years. Ready? Mods, you don't look wholly ready. Yeah?
Prepping myself.
He's ready. Okay, what's happened? How's it changed? It's moved slightly to the left. It's moved slightly. The other thing, apart from being almost identical, they do blend a little bit better. I've cell shaded the characters, and which I resisted for really the longest time. But now I really think that they sort of tie in with the background, but they have a really clean, sharp look. I quite like it. I think it's quite cool. It's still, obviously, everything you're going to see here is still a work in progress. But I do think that was the right choice for helping really sort of bind it together stylistically. Was that a question?
Yeah.
Yes?
Well, I was just going to say, you haven't, before you've gone quite radically different style. Surely people are going to just be much happier to see Nelly look like Nelly.
I think that's it, yeah, because I think that the 3D characters I really like, and when you see them in motion in a 2D world, it's really good. I really, really like it, but it is off-putting, and it sort of jars people out of it. And I thought, especially if I'm asking people to give a few sort of euro cents for this, it needs to be something which appeals immediately, and then hopefully once you dig down a bit, there's also some coolness and richness, and it's fun. But it does need to have a superficial appeal, and it sort of threw you out a little bit, which I find weird. So yes, Nelly does look just more like Nelly. Well, really, all of the. Are we bored yet? I can keep. I've got a few more slides. Sorry, I'll keep talking. I am sorry. All of the stylistic choices that I made were entirely based on what I thought would be quickest at the time. And so in the first game, that was doing vector backdrops, which I drew with a mouse, because I'm an idiot, and I didn't have a graphics tablet at that time. And vector characters, which I animated like split bin animation in Blender 3D. So I animated them, with joints like that. And I thought that would be really easy, but it turned out to be really, really fiddly and difficult, and I couldn't do what I wanted, so I was really unhappy with that. And that's what made me go for 3D characters, because I'd been doing lots of 3D work for film, for my films, visual effects and things like that. And I knew that once you've modelled a character and rigged him and given him a skeleton, animation is really easy. So here's a quick look at the skeleton of Nelly. And once you've done that, animation is really easy. So you can create an asset and generate loads and loads and loads of animations really, really, really efficiently. And I thought, well, this would be brilliant, and it'll allow me to make a game which is really big and really amazing. And I'd be able to do loads of animations. This is me. Remember, this is the naive 2008 me talking. And you might be asking now, I thought you were going to explain how you're an idiot rather than just demonstrating it through talking. If you were listening carefully, you'll have heard why I'm an idiot by combining, I cast your minds back to two sentences that I've said up to this point. One of them is that once you've modelled the character, they're really easy to animate in 3D. And the other one is, I designed about 50 characters. Combining those two sentences together, I have to model and rig 50 characters. Who would do that? That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. 50! I mean, if you look at games like Telltale games, they have about 6 characters in them. Because they're in 3D, it takes ages. You have to do the back of the heads as well. Even when the audience can't see the back of the head, you still have to do it. They've got, and in Tales of Monkey Island, there are all the miscellaneous pirate characters. I don't know if you noticed, they all have sort of kind of similarly exactly the same face. Because no one would model that many characters unless they were an idiot. So I have modelled 45 out of the 50 characters because I'm an idiot. But once I realised what a fool I was, doing that became really, really difficult, really, really hard work, and I started to look for other things to do. So one of the things that I did was a little game which I made for a competition and didn't finish in time actually, using Dage, the dog adventure game engine, which was a new engine for making 3D adventure games, which very sadly is no longer in development. I was really hoping that it could be something, because I really think 3D design is great. I really think it could change the way we play adventure games, because it completely didn't. It just we just sort of didn't work out how to make 3D adventure games, and never really quite have. Now we've just worked out how to 3D adventure games that play like 2D adventure games. And so I wanted to make a 3D adventure game, and I was largely dissatisfied with this game. The graphics didn't look as good in the engine as they should have, because I couldn't get the rendering to carry across. And I only really... Coding anything was so much hassle that I got about half as many puzzles in it as I wanted to, and I just got bored and just finished the game without that many puzzles. So it was a kind of unsatisfying experience. The biggest distraction during all of this time was being a film student and making films. But the one game-linked element in relation to that was that in trying to raise money for my graduation film, which I shot about a month ago and haven't started editing yet, well, I made a little game to try and raise funds for it. So to just try and get people interested, I made a little tie-in game for the Library of Burned Books, it's called. And in this tie-in game, some of you might have seen I posted it on the forums. You play a little chimney sweep who's there, and he has to try and save books and stop books from being burned through a very, very simple series of puzzles. And I did that in HTML5 so you could play it online. This was also a huge mistake. It did raise a little bit of money, but in design terms it was a huge mistake, because to adventure gamers it is the most insanely easy game in the world. To non-adventure gamers or humans, it is mind-bogglingly impossible. And I tried this on film students, so I did, still nerds, but just not the right kind. They had no idea what to do. They were just wandering left and right, clicking with the mouse, and clicking, put the mouse away. It doesn't say use the mouse. They didn't have any idea what to do. But I think this idea has real potential. Not the idea for the game, but the idea that there could be a link between film and video games in a way which is much more reciprocal than it is at the moment. Because obviously we all understand that big blockbusters have a tie-in video game, but why shouldn't weird student films have tie-in video games? And why shouldn't art house cinema, why shouldn't Werner Herzog release a video game to go with his film? Why not? And it should be an art house video game that goes with an art house film. Okay, Ben Jordan, I think that's more like, that's working the other way around. But obviously eclipsing the Mario Brothers film and the Lara Croft films, certainly. But I think there should be tie-ins, movie tie-ins for indie games, as well as indie game tie-ins for video games, in a way that could be, I think that could be really interesting. I think it could be a really good way of trying to get the attention that we all crave, or at least I do. So that's where I am now. I've had very little time to work on the game because I've been shooting films. But I have been making it, and so really the next few screens just prove that I am still working on it. So I have, I've created about, I think it's got about 35 locations, and it's got about 45 of the 50 characters complete. And at the moment I'm at the stage where I'm actually just putting it into the engine and starting to build the game, having written it months and months and years and years and years ago. And it's quite an exciting time, because now I feel like I can actually talk about it, and I've sort of passed the point of no return, and now I actually have to go on and make the game and make it happen. And there's loads of nice pictures that I can look at while I do that, instead of having to use designer art. And I've sort of conned myself into thinking that the difficult work is finished now, and I'm ready to just, the simple business of actually just making the game will just sort of fall into place now. I've realised in thinking about it, in preparing to talk about this, that really I'm sort of fooling myself, and there's just as much work left to be done. That, incidentally, is a background taking place in the mind of El Mono, the monkey, who is also a witch doctor. So, interesting locations for the game. So to sort of sum up how I feel about the game, I know none of you care, but again, this is catharsis for me.
The people on video might care.
The people on video care. To sum this up, you and me, we know what we're talking about. These chumps here. So to sum up, I've drawn just a picture which sort of symbolises the way it is. So it's me attacking a mammoth. Because mammoths are endangered and I'm a vegan, instead of a spear, I'm holding celery. That is it.
That's a good strategy.
I'm thinking I might lure him, I don't know, off a cliff.
What? Lure him to you or the celery? Or...
Well, any amount of luring would be an achievement, to be honest.
Just a few steps, really.
Yeah.
Close to that celery.
Anyway, I'm taller than that in real life. And I could add Ginger the Mammoth, possibly. That's it. I haven't got anything more to say. Oh, well, I can. Oh, all right. Well, if I could show you a bit of the game, but there's very little game actually there. I will. But first of all,
we want to see it moving around.
As a filmmaker, I insist that I'm just going to stop talking for a second. And could you just shoot some cutaways of everyone looking really interested? No?
Yeah, that's it. Everyone
I want everyone to do this.
Yeah.
And now I've just said something hilarious. And then I was getting a bit emotional, sort of lean in and get a bit sad. Thanks. Enough for you. That should help with the edit.
Yeah, definitely shows a bit.
All right. So no more self-indulgent slideshows, just some self-indulgent.
Because this is the point. The 3D thing, it was quite jarring.
It really was. I still love it.
Back. You've made a first game, so people have expectations of your next one.
I'm gonna cutscene skipper. Okay, so this walking animation is 3 years old, and I'm not entirely happy with it. If there is very little game to play, shall I just jump around and look at a few?
Ali, wait, stop it and go into unfull screen, please.
Into unfull. Oh, so.
Sorry, unwindowed.
Unwindowed. Sorry, can you not see it on that side? You're drunk on the excitement of Nelly Cootalot 2.
Yeah.
Nelly Cootalot 2. Okay.
Oh, she's all stretchy.
She's fat. Oh, this is Rachel. Oh no. You're much slimmer than this. It's just widescreen. It does that. Hold on. If I come round, can I see from this side?
Yeah.
No, because I can't jump room. Never mind. I'll do it from this side. Okay.
The monitor should be on.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, I just thought it'd be less antisocial to come around to the other side. Okay, so what can I do? Okay, if I think I'm tempted to get rid of the verb coin. Oh, do I right click, left click? Ooh.
I'm just trying to appreciate it now because that's the first time I've seen it since the first game.
Use the mop and slop bucket so I can get a lengthy conversation with Bloodbeard, which I am not able to skip. I'm just skipping all of this. He's just explaining what I told you, that in fact all of the plot of this game is tying up a tiny bit of a cliffhanger, which I'm sure you've all forgotten from the first game. Skippy, skippy, skip. Oh, there he goes. Alright, now I can demonstrate to you the only puzzle in this game, which it doesn't even have inventory. So I need to get myself shipped to that island in the background. So I can go in the crate, but I can't go in the crate because Nelly can't get it open. There's no animation. Also, the crate is going to the wrong location, whereas this envelope is going to the right location. So I'm going to steal the tag from that envelope and steal the tag from the crate.
Just key on it.
This is very different. Oh, look at the genuine drawings I've got there. And put the tag on the right port. The right port tag on the crate. This is just compellingly interesting. I'm going to pick up the letter opener and use the letter opener on the crate. So logical. And some animation! Hooray! Very little of it is really animated. I'm going to get into that crate. Which doesn't really animated, obviously. She doesn't have any air holes, so I'm going to take the twisted letter opener and bore a few air holes in the crate. And now she waits in a state of constant readiness. And as you call it. That will ship us to the next location with a little bit of flickering on the screen that I need to get rid of. So there's a few locations and a few pirates, lots of characters, things to talk out, stairs that make you go blue for some reason. Need to work on that. That is Commodore 64, a joke that I thought I invented and then found out is in the background of Futurama. A joke which I think worthy of a whole character is written in the background of Futurama, never mind. Jack Tar the pirate. Let's look around some more locations.
It's a whole new levels of the first one.
I think this game is about 4 times larger than the first game, based on... Well, the design document is 40 times longer, but that's because I wrote it in more detail. So there's the beach where you can see, you probably can't see actually, Sebastian the coot. I need to make him a little easier to see. He was a coot who appeared in the first game. A little inventor's house, where, look, you can open the doors, this game's got everything. And this is my favourite location, which I don't think anybody else likes, but this is where you find Rackham, an old inventor who likes all of the birds. All the birds on this island have been kidnapped, and Nelly has to investigate them, and she finds out the Baron has hypnotised them. Grove Park is quite a big location, nice scrolling backdrop with parallax. And a drunken repairman who she would probably have to befriend by getting him some kind of whiskey. And if I move further on, then the characters start to vanish and stop being in the game. But before we go, there's Captain Rehab, he's from the first game, and Barman Friday, who have relocated to a slightly different looking pub to have exactly the same conversations that they had in the first game. And that's Hetty Luhrmann. She is the harbour master here, and she has been forced out of her job by the evil harbour master Van Zandt. And if Nelly had come in, that wouldn't have happened. There we go, she's okay. A little bit of a walk behind issue there. Harbour master Van Zandt, who is in league with Baron Whitebeard and the Baroness. And I suppose before I stop this, I should just skip ahead and see any other good locations. The treehouse is my favourite location because she isn't really that small in it. It's just she's standing in the wrong place. When Nelly comes into here, her reaction will be ah! Oh, for a minute I thought it was in a hidden object game, which will be my favourite nerdy joke in the whole game. I like this backdrop as well. There's nothing to do here. If I jump to the end of the game, yes, there is the Baron, the Baroness, and El Mono standing rigidly in a room. Obviously, there'll be a bit more animation in the finished game. A few.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's stuck up. There is. I promise you, there's a line of code that says that she's supposed to land on a walkable area, but she doesn't do it. After about a few rooms, it stops happening, and I can't work out why. As we get towards the end, there are no characters there, but I'm just going to show you the box where Bjorn and Olafsson will be, I swear, in here, and lots of other characters will be sitting in all of these blank areas where there are currently no characters. Sorry?
What happened to their shop?
Recession.
Yeah, exactly. They've gone back up north to the wintry wastes, which is where Nelly finds herself looking for, among other things, the abominable snowbird.
I think it was the best thing about the first game is the fact I didn't know there was like a bank with the same name pretty much.
No,
I saw one after that. Like,
no, I think it's Bang & Olufsen, so that's they do like audio things. They sell speakers. I have no idea why I thought them worthy of taking off for in a computer game, but I did. Anyway, that's that.
That's awesome. That looks right.
I also have, but it's probably no, it's boring. I do have, if you want to have a look at it, I have the a version of Blender with the Nelly rig in it, so I could look at how that's animated, but I'm not going to do that now because it's not interesting enough. All right. Thank you.
Questions for Ali?
Where's my golden mansion? I was going to
The Golden Mansion. I'll draw one. What resolution?
You tell me, sorry.
Voice acting Yale name with 50 characters.
Yeah. This is the other pitfall that you come in with 50 characters.
That was good last time.
Yeah. Now that I live in London, I've met millions of actors with loads of time on their hands. So I sort of think that voice acting should be more easy than ever because actors are chumps. They'll do anything basically. They have almost no pride. In fact, I was working with kids on my graduate film, and the strange thing about kids is that they are just exactly the same as actors, but without the ability to lie. Because actors obviously are just huge attention-craving people, desperate for desperate for entertainment, desperate for you to like them, desperate for you to look at them, just like children. And so when you say to a kid, okay, and when there's a group of kids, you say, okay, Steve, when we shoot this, you have to go over there and you pick that up. And all the other kids go, me, why can't I do that? I want to do it. Why does Steve get to do it? I'm as good as Steve, I know. And you say, yeah, but Steve's more attractive than the rest of you, so Steve's doing it. And they go, that's not fair, I want to do it. Now, actors are the same. When you say, okay, you're doing it, they'll go, I wish I was playing the villain. I want to be playing all the parts in this film. But they keep it on the inside, and it makes it much easier to work with them.
That's good. Well, Rachel, because you were doing the voice originally, weren't you?
Yeah.
You should still do it, definitely.
I would do it, but I'm not an actor, so... It's very difficult. Alasdair, we have
You are her. You are Nelly Cootalot.
we have a really bad working relationship.
Well, yeah.
The arguments are caused. And
Yeah, he's been persuaded by other people that maybe didn't quite sound what they expected. So now he's thinking, ooh, I want to please all these people. Oh, it's not the Christmas present it once was, is it?
Stop stirring.
Oh, there'll be no voice acting.
I am pro-Rachel.
You're pro-Rachel. Well, that's one vote. I may hold a poll. You know, to see who is better, my girlfriend or a stranger. Vote now.
I think we thought voice acting for the cutscenes.
I did think about just voice acting the cutscenes or various other things. 50 characters just make voice acting difficult. To be honest, I should be able to do it. It's more time consuming than it is expensive, I think, living in London. And it is sort of unfair to ask actors when there's no capital up front to do something for no money, with the idea that it might make money, but not very much. It's a very tricky situation. You saw the business plan. That was covered by...
Yeah, but that's it. Are you actually going commercial?
That is, yes. My intention is to...
So people with microphones would need to be people with professional microphones.
To be honest, my plan is to make a decision about the audio at a later date. The reason being that I think I'm not sure whether the people who buy this game will not buy it based on the fact that it has no voice acting, if you know what I mean. I think the same people might play it whether or not it has voice acting. It would be better with voice acting, but I'm not sure it would actually change people's overall feeling about the game or their enjoyment of the game. And I'm not sure whether it adds as much as producing it would take away.
Well, dude, I can't speak for everyone, but we've had one game this whole thing, which has had voice acting, and that was definitely very funny because it had that. We could all sit here and laugh out loud and hear it. And I mean, I know it's a different experience when you're sat at home just reading the screen and whatnot, but half the time you don't want to really be paying so much attention.
Yeah, reading is for chumps. Yeah, I understand what you mean. You're absolutely right. No, it's something I'd love to do, but I don't know whether I can. It depends on me. Built into the plan is the idea that I get a proper business head on my shoulders and learn what I'm planning to do with my life. That's all scheduled for 2012, though, so I'll deal with that then.
When the world ends, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's my plan. I'm just going to keep putting it off until the apocalypse. Okay.
Very much. Any other
thank
questions?
you.
No, not. Thank you very much, Alasdair.